Hi, my name is Farhan Ilahi and my student ID is 20234021. I'm recording this presentation for my subject CYB 600. The topic of my presentation is SpotX. In this presentation, I'll discuss 5 variable assets of SpotX, threats against each asset, vulnerability against each asset, risk calculation, and some of the strategies for each of the 500 identified risk along with their justifications. In the first, I'll discuss 5 variable assets of SpotX: customer database, order database, product database, web server, and email server. Customer database. Customer database, personal information, purchase history, and billing details for every SpotX customer are all stored in this database. It's vital for keeping in touch with customers and running efficient targeted advertising campaigns. Number two is order database. Product quantities, prices, and shipping details are just one of the data stored in the order database in response to requests from customers. It's indispensable for keeping tabs on stock, keeping tabs on sales, and keeping orders from getting lost in the mail. Number three is product database. Information such as product description, technical details, prices, and availability can be found in SpotX products database. It's crucial for keeping the catalog organized, keeping prices current, and giving customers up-to-date details about product. Number four is web server. SpotX e-commerce website is the company's primary sales channel, and it is hosted on the web server. Online shopping, ordering, and payment are all made possible. The web server is essential to the smooth operation and safety of website. Number five is email server. SpotX email server process all incoming and outgoing messages. Employees rely on it for a variety of communication, including orders, taking, answering customers' questions, and working together internally. Active email saved on the email server or another source of useful data. Next, I have got threats against each of assets. In this section, let's first discuss customer database. In customer database, we will discuss unauthorized access. Customers' personal information, including names, addresses, and payment detail, is vulnerable to a theft due to availability of unauthorized access to a customer database. In this section, the second I'll discuss is data breach. Data breach. The customer database is vulnerable to a data breach, which could expose or disclose sensitive customer information to unauthorized parties. SpotX brand and legal standing may be at risk because of this. In this section, I got order database. In order database, I'll first discuss database corruption. The order database can become corrupted by bugs in the software, hardware failure, or even by accident. In this section, the number two is insider threats. The order database could be compromised by insider working there. They may alter or delete order records, which can cause problem with product delivery, stock control, and customer service. Number third, I have product database. In product database, I'll first describe unauthorized modification. In unauthorized modification, malicious outsiders or even trusted company insiders could potentially tamper with the product database, changing prices, quantities in stock, and other details without anyone noticing. In this section, I'll also discuss data loss. The product database could be lost due to accidental deletion, hardware failure, or software problems. Next, I have web server. In the web server, I'll first describe DDoS attacks. DDoS attacks in which multiple compromised computers or other network devices send a dialog of request to a single server and can render the website inaccessible to its intended audience. In this section, I'll also discuss web application vulnerabilities. Vulnerability in the e-commerce sites code or plugins could allow hackers to access the web server. Because of these vulnerabilities, the server security and integrity could be breached and exploited by an attacker. The last in this section is email servers. In the email server, I'll first discuss the phishing attacks. Phishing attacks in which user received fake SportX emails are possible due to security flaws in the company's email server. Employees risk unauthorized access and data breaches if they allow phishing and scams and reveal software information. In this section, secondly, I'll describe malware infection. Malware infection Malware can be introduced into an email server through attachment or links within emails. Malware can affect both order processing and customer support if it spreads to the other system, compromise data, or other disrupts emails. Emails are in communication. Next, I have vulnerability against each asset. In this section, I'll describe vulnerability against each of the assets of SportX. Number one, I have customer database. Number two is order database. Number three is product database. Number four, web server. And number five is email server. Let's first briefly describe customer database. The vulnerability associated with customer database is the lack of adequate encryption for the customer database. Stored customer data present a security risk. Data breaches and unauthorized access to sensitive customer information are possible if the data is not adequately encrypted. Number two, order database. The vulnerability associated with order database is the order database is susceptible to attack because of the flaws in authentication system. The risk of unauthorized user accessing, manipulating, or extracting sensitive order information increases if the authentication process for accessing the order database is not strong. Number third is product database. The vulnerability of product database is due to improper input validation in the product database is susceptible to compromise. Database integrity and availability can be jeopardized, and there aren't adequate validation checks in place to prevent input-based attacks like SQL injection and cross-site scripting excesses. Number four is web server. Vulnerability associated with web server is vulnerable is because of its use and out of date version of the software. If the web server OS, web server software or plugins aren't kept up to date on a regular basis, then these will exploit the compromise can take advantage of known vulnerabilities that haven't been fixed. Number five is email server. Vulnerability in email server is inadequate email filtering mechanism. The email server weakness is inadequate email filtering mechanism. Email servers are more vulnerable to security breaches and account compromise to a database of efficient spam, phishing, and malware filtering. Risk calculation. Risk calculation, we got unauthorized access. Unauthorized access, customer database, weak authentication mechanism. Its impact is 4 divided by 5, so its mean is high. Its likelihood is 3 divided by 5, it's moderate. And risk rating is 4 multiplied by 3 is 12 divided by 25, so it's also moderate. Data breach, customer database, insufficient data encryption. Its impact is 5 divided by 5, its mean its impact is very high, and its likelihood is 2 divided by 5, so it's low. Its risk rating is impact 5 multiplied by 2 is 10 divided by 25, so the next is database corruption. Its impact is 3 divided by 5, so it's moderate. Its likelihood is 4 divided by 5, its likelihood is high. Its risk rating is 3 multiplied by 4 is equal to 12 divided by 25. Insider threats, impact is high because it's 4 divided by 5, and its likelihood is 3 divided by 5, so it's moderate. So its risk rating is 4 multiplied by 3, so it's 12 divided by 25. And the last we have DDoS attacks, web server insufficient DDoS protection measures. Its impact is 4 divided by 5, so its mean its impact is high, and its likelihood is low because it's 2 divided by 5. And its risk rating is 4 multiplied by 2, it means that 8 divided by 25. So in the next section, I'll discuss some of the strategies for identified risk along with their justification. Number one is Risk unauthorized access. Customer database weak authentication mechanism. Treatment strategy. Implement multi-factor authentication MFA for customer account. The justification for using multi-factor authentication is that it makes it more difficult for unauthorized users to access customer accounts. Number two is risk data breach. Customer database insufficient data encryption. Treatment strategy implements strong encryption algorithm for sensitive customer data at rest and in transit. The justification for this is that encryption renders sensitive customer data unless even if it fails into the wrong hands because it is unreadable. The risk of unauthorized access and data breaches is minimized thanks to the use of strong encryption algorithm like AES. Number three is risk database corruption. The treatment for risk database corruption is implement regular automated backups of the orders database and test the restoration process periodically. Number four is risk insider threats. Treatment is implement role-based access controls and conduct periodic access reviews. Role-based access control provides justification by limiting database access based on individual assigned duties or portion. Number five is risk on DDoS attacks. The treatment for DDoS attack implement a robust DDoS mitigation solution or service. DDoS mitigation helps prevent a web server from being overwhelmed by malicious traffic, which is why it is so important to have and place e-commerce website on continue to function normally even when DDoS attacks are taking place. Thanks to these kinds of solutions, which use traffic analysis, rate limiting, and other techniques to use about block suspicious traffic. In the last, I'll discuss plausible protection mechanism. In this section, some plausible protection mechanism in the context in which could be used to strengthen Sportex network security and safeguard will be discussed. Number one is firewall. Firewall should be set up to restrict what can be and cannot pass in and out of network, as well as between different parts of the internal network and the external network in the server themselves. There are few different places. Firewall can be installed in a network at external boundary, at the internal gateway, or in the individual server. Next is deploy an IDPS to keep an eye on network traffic for sign of intrusion or other forms of malicious activity. Next is use of virtual private network such as VPN to connect to the corporate network from a remote location safely and securely. Remote users need a safe way to communicate with the main office network. So VPN should be set up on a client device and at network gateway as well. Use NAC solution. Some people say it's NAC and some people say NAC solution. NAC solution control which devices are allowed access to a network and which aren't access points. And switches are two examples of the network's entry points where NAC or NAC can be implemented to restrict network access by only unauthorized and compliant devices. That's all about my presentation. Thanks for paying your attention and have a nice day.